Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, officially working towards the weekend. Half that work week's in the rearview mirror. Hope it has been a good one. We'll have Lane Kiffin sound coming up in 15 minutes. My SEC baseball power rankings, unfortunately, coming your way in 30 minutes. Koki Riley covers the LSU baseball team for The Advocate. He's here on Wednesdays. Koki, appreciate the time. How are you?
Good. How's it going?
It's going all right. What do we watch over the weekend? LSU and Texas A&M.
What did we watch? I think we watched one team that's good at baseball, another team that's not good at baseball, and the results then followed. I think A&M was kind of on another planet compared to LSU. I think they kind of beat them like a drum for 2.5 games. The first half of Friday's game, I think, was pretty close, pretty even, and then it really spiraled after that. So, just not a lot, almost pretty much nothing good to take away from it, I'd say, as a weekend as a whole.
We just did about 8 minutes on how silly the Saints press conference was today because there's a bunch of questions that didn't get answers for good reason because the Saints aren't going to give their draft strategy away to the media the day before. And you've sat in dozens and dozens and dozens of press conferences with no substance. What did you think Friday when Jay Johnson started talking about roster construction?
Out of all the things that Jay Johnson talks about and doesn't talk about, roster construction is usually something he's a little bit more open to talking about in general. But this, of course, was very, very different. When you're saying out loud in the middle of the season with, at that point, 14 SEC games left to play, that you've made mistakes in constructing the roster, that is a whole another level of transparency, honesty, and I guess just a incredibly telling sign of how he thinks of this team and how, frankly, quite poor this team is. And I think a lot of it he just kind of blames on himself for not recruiting the right guys, not bringing in the right players, and that's something that us in the media have touched on a whole bunch of times. And I don't think it's that hard to deduce, which specific guys where it just hasn't worked out with those guys. But yeah, like when he started being that open and honest about it, I was kind of stunned because he just doesn't really do that. And he's not someone who's going to go off the cuff and really speak his truth, at least. And everything he says is calculated, right? There's a reason for why he says everything. He's not going to say something without kind of thoroughly thinking about the consequences of his actions. And to me, him saying that either was a trip up in that philosophy or a very targeted way of saying that, hey, this team just doesn't have the goods. We're going to do better in the offseason, and I'm going to make sure, obviously, this never happens again. So, there's a lot going on there.
And you saw on Tuesday, William Patrick in the lineup, obviously with Jake Brown out, but Jack Ruckert played as well. Mason Braun pitch hit, and you obviously had Cerna in there. Do you believe the freshman will get a very long rope here in the last 12 league games into midweeks, or do you think that was just a spot against UNO at home that was pretty comfy for them with Jake Brown out?
Honestly, I think they should play more. I think you got to see what these kids have and how many of them you can plug into the lineup next year, or at least be a strong competitor for one of the lineup spots, given how much turnover you're going to have on that side of the ball. So I think they should. Will they actually do it? Well, not 100% sure about that because, Jay likes to talk about how, and maybe it's lip service, but he likes to talk about how he plans to line up for every day to try to win that game, right? And on Tuesday, it should be noted that Zach York started at first base, which is something that hadn't happened in a little bit. And they decided to give Mason Braun a breather again. and Braun eventually entered the game, but this team is just kind of. I think like any idea that the veterans have the upper hand, like that's been totally dispensed at this point.
Yeah.
But like, are they going to favor the young guys over the older guys? Not fully convinced of that, even though I think that's probably what they should do here.
When you look at the bullpen, there have been some promising outings and performances over the last 2 weeks. What do you make of that position group and maybe some of the younger guys, maybe some of the older guys that have come through, and what that could do for LSU over the last 12 SEC games?
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's just a lot of caveats to that. One, those guys kind of struggled against Ole Miss. Two, in the A&M series, yes, they pitched well in the last 2 games, but like those games are kind of over when they entered the game. Like they're down 5-6 runs, so there's just not as much pressure for A&M to put on more runs or pressure on LSU to hold on to a tight game or a tight lead. And I think because of that, maybe that was just as big a reason outside of just them performing better. But the talent's there, the execution was there. They've thrown a lot more strikes lately, kind of quietly, on whether it's the starters or the bullpen. I think in general they've been a little bit more consistent in throwing strikes. But the trade-off to that's kind of been guys getting hit, like against Ole Miss, like they were getting pushed around, starters and relievers, and then the starters really got pushed around against Texas A&M. So I don't know. Like I think there's a pathway for the bullpen to be pretty good this weekend against Mississippi State, which is a team that's been just kind of weirdly inconsistent for the entire season. But at the same time, I feel like, that's just kind of how I feel.
Koki Riley's our guest with the Advocates. You mentioned the starters getting pushed around a little bit by A&M. A lot of the offseason discussion is going to center around Kason Evans and William Schmidt. Based on what you know today, it can change over the last 4 or 5 weeks. Like, how do you feel about those two guys? I guess the last 4 or 5 weeks, and then entering next year, their junior year on campus.
I think those two guys should be in the starting rotation to begin next season, and I don't think there should be really much of a question about that. Like, there's like the rate in which they're striking out guys, the length that they've shown that they can provide, the improvement Schmidt's had with his control and even to a degree his command, and then with Evans and the flashes that we've seen from him this season. Like, I mean, these are 2 true sophomores starting in the SEC. It's not going to be easy, and they've shown more than enough in terms of flashes of potential to stick on to them for next year and see what they can do as juniors. If they don't develop next season, then you got a lot of questions to ask about yourself when it comes to just like your developmental pipeline and whatnot, right? And how you're coaching these guys, because both these guys clearly have all the talent in the world. They're both players who have the potential to make it to the major leagues. I think that's pretty clear if you look at the stuff, you look at the strikeout rate, you look at all these things, right? You talk to any scout, like to me, it's pretty obvious that these two guys are SEC caliber starters, at least when it comes to their talent. It's just a matter of consistency. It's a matter of control. It's a matter of all those sort of things, and just trying to find the right rhythm for those guys to not just pitch well for 3 or 4 innings, but to pitch well for 6 or 7, right? And that's kind of the thing that has hurt both of them this season, where there are 3 or 4 inning stretches where they look just as good as any starter in the league. And then when you get to the order a second time or especially a third time, that's when things start to fall apart for them. And they've got to be able to find that consistency better. And if they do, then I think they're gonna, I think the results will look a lot better for this team. And I don't know. I may be more optimistic on those guys than most other people, but I don't know. Like LSU, a lot of their success the last few years in the rotation is because they've leaned on, juniors and older players, and this is the first year where they've really leaned on 2 younger guys to pull through for them on weekends consistently. And there have definitely been plenty of ups and downs with that, and that's just kind of natural in my opinion.
Last question here. 15 years ago, when I was covering this team day to day, we used to talk to the guys at practice. That was like the midweek session. You could just kind of talk to whoever you wanted to. Now they bring one at a time, and it's a 10-person setting, so it's not quite as personal a conversation. But I'm curious what your gauge is on the morale of this current roster, this team for this season moving forward.
Yeah, like you said, like it's really hard,
right?
Since you're not really. Well, I mean, I'll be around them a little bit more this weekend because I'm going to be at Mississippi State. So, honestly, like I can probably give you a better answer to this question next Wednesday. But for now, I just say it's kind of business as usual. Just trying to survive the grind of the season. I think, injuries have really worn on this team. This team seems beat up by the year, not just mentally, but also physically. And, like the Seth Dardar injury, Caraway kind of being in and out, Simpson dealing with this hand thing. There is a sense of just, I don't know, like the season is worn on them. And I think that includes Jay, and maybe that plays a factor into his comments, which is what we talked about earlier in the show. So, I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I just sort of think about how, it's been, 42 games for them this season, something like that.
Yeah. And
it feels like more. I guess that's the best way to put it.
They're fighting it, that's for sure. They'll be in Starkville. I'll be there, and we'll see you on Friday evening at the Dude.
Awesome. Thanks.
Koki Riley with The Advocate, LSU beat writer covering the Tiger baseball squad. I'm curious to see that, too. I'll be there. I'll be doing the games with Chris Blair on the network, but I'll also be doing my work for LouisianaSports.net, and I'll be able to do some post-game interviews and stuff, and maybe I'll also have a better feel for that. And certainly the way this weekend goes will impact that. If they get swept again, their third straight sweep, I mean, you can kind of paint how that picture goes. So they go out there and they win 2 out of 3 against Mississippi State, and Schmidt and Evans are fantastic, and Aaron Beatty hits 2 more homers, and Jack Ruckert makes 2 great plays up the middle. Like, all of a sudden you might feel different. It's an interesting deal. Baseball happens so quickly. There's a game every day or every other day, and the narrative changes. So I may get a better picture of that as we move into the weekend as well. But we'll be there one way or another. Koki will be there for The Advocate. I'll be there for LouisianaSports.net as well as the network. So keep on trucking. We'll do some baseball power rankings coming up in 15 minutes. When we come back, some sound from Lane Kiffin yesterday about how he's got his feet on the ground in Baton Rouge 5 months later. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. PGA Tour players going to be at the Zurich this weekend. You can play TPC Louisiana right there at Swing Easy Golf Club. They got it fired up right there on the simulator. I've played it. I've played it in person. I've played it on the simulator. It's a different golf experience, but it's a great golf experience. If you want to hit some golf shots this weekend, don't have a tee time, but maybe you don't have 5 hours. Maybe you got 45 minutes you want to kill and hit some golf shots. You can play 9 holes in 45 minutes on the simulator by yourself at Swing Easy Golf Club. Maybe after work on Friday, you want to go up there with 4 buddies, get the beers going, and hit some golf shots, listen to some tunes. You can do that at Swing Easy Golf Club as well. It's on Segan at Perkins. Awesome spot, incredibly hospitable, ton of fun, and you can be a member as well. Check them out online at SwingEasyGCBR.com or on Segan at Perkins at Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Every day we're brought to you by Lifetime Roofing. Check them out online, lifetimeroofingla.com, lifetimeroofingla.com. You need to be able to trust your roofer, especially in South Louisiana. So often there is a weather event and roofers come in from everywhere trying to sign as many people up as they can to make as much money as they can and then hit the road. That's no good. Lifetime Roofing is the opposite of that. Lifetime Roofing is founded and owned by Baton Rouge area business people who take this part of the world very seriously. They're devoted to the community here in Baton Rouge. And one of the things they think about in their line of work in roofing is the fact that oftentimes they're dealing with people in times of need. I was talking with the folks at Lifetime Roofing, one of the first sit-downs we ever had. And they said, look, one time there was a tornado that ripped through. It was up close to Kentwood. Said we just went up there with chainsaws and bottles of water, and we were cutting trees and handing out water and just doing what we could to help. That's the kind of people you're dealing with at Lifetime Roofing. Not only do they feel that way about their community, they also offer a lifetime workmanship warranty. It guarantees the craftsmanship and the materials. So you're getting people that care on the front end and a warranty that lasts forever on the back end. It's Lifetime Roofing. You can find them online at lifetimeroofingla.com. If you're looking for a new roof, you need financing options, they got it. You need incredible craftsmanship, they got it. You need a lifetime workmanship warranty, they got that as well. It's Lifetime Roofing. Find them online, lifetimeroofingla.com. Shane LeBlanc, Lifetime Roofing is very, very good. They just did my roof. Wasn't even in the live. You see it right there in the Bayou Ford chat? There it is. Let's talk a little LSU football. Lane Kiffin met with the media yesterday and answered a lot of questions about defensive line, quarterbacks. I've actually written about the quarterbacks. That's online at louisianasports.net right now. But some of the answers I thought were a little bit more personal and more about his time in Baton Rouge that's now spanned 5 months. And he talked about starting to, quote unquote, get this community, which is brand new to him.
Yeah, I actually had a former player today who moved back here after playing the NFL a long time, and he said to me, he's like, okay, we went to 6 different places. Actually, was here with Saban, and then at the Dolphins with Saban. And he's like, we moved back here because the people here. And that does now make sense to me. Not to use it again, it's different. It's just a different feeling. It's like it's a combination, and I'll get criticized, I'm sure, for this. It's like the deep South, nice and caring, with a little bit of edge, too, and edge, I mean, a passion of like wanting to win and how can we help win, and so it's unique. But again, like the recruits feel that. Like in these Sunday meetings when I sit with them and they're on the couch and the parents and they talk about how much they enjoyed the town and the people at restaurants coming up to them and the diversity, and so I'm starting to get it.
It's a special place. And one thing that I don't have to speculate on, I know for certain, is that we care a lot about those 3 letters, about that school, about those athletics. And it doesn't surprise me that when Lane Kiffin takes recruits out, that they feel that. There's no question about it. But it's something that Lane Kiffin didn't know when he got here. It's something you got to kind of learn. He's been all over the country, quite literally, from Oakland, L.A., Boca Raton, Tuscaloosa, Oxford, Knoxville, school at Fresno State. Like, he's been all over the place. And he's never been to Baton Rouge. And he's starting to get a sense for what the community ticks like. And part of that is in recruiting. And the first time he had to recruit, he had like 48 hours before that high school class was going to sign. And you remember like Lamar Brown showed up and Richard Anderson showed up and he's talking with Carr's coach. And like, it was just like things were happening very, very quickly. Well, now they're into the summer period of some high school recruiting, late spring, as it were. And he's speaking about recruiting now as opposed to when he'd been on the job for 10 minutes.
It feels completely different. I actually just had this conversation with the staff. I feel like now we recap the weekend and we're at full strength. Everybody's here. We know the people in the building. We have all our coaches here. They get to see practice also. So it's like now I'm really feeling the recruiting at full strength, and then combining what we do with the branding of LSU and then the response, which has been extremely high level from the recruits and their families, which has been great. You know, when we first got here, we're here a couple days. We don't even have a full staff. We're trying to sign the high school class without even having a full staff. And then even going into the portal and having our coaches going back and forth and not here and then at the other place. Like, that was really challenging. And so a coach said last night, he goes, Coach, but remember, you weren't full strength and still signed this #1 portal class of elite talent. So that was pretty exciting to think about. Like, we were able to do that and we weren't even at full strength. We didn't even know the building and what we were even selling a little bit. We could sell our systems. We didn't have a feel for Baton Rouge. And now to have the feel for everything, it really feels great. I walked back in the staff meeting Sunday after all the recruits were gone. And I'm like, for all these parents and players to come in here and say what they said today really just excites me about the combination of LSU and us together.
I haven't thought about the fact that LSU's coaches are splitting time between Oxford and Baton Rouge in a while. Like, when I heard that sound, I wanted to say the words I forgot about it. I didn't forget about it. It just happened. But, like, I hadn't thought about it in a while. I'm knee-deep in this baseball thing, and they've hired a new basketball coach, and I just haven't thought about the coaching staff yo-yo effect that was going on in December. But yeah, I mean, that was not stable for anybody. And the fact that things are a little bit more stable now is encouraging. And I feel like this is probably a fool's errand. This is probably foolish of me to even think in this climate. But it does feel like there could be a little bit of stability on this staff, right? Like Charlie Weiss will eventually get a job. Yeah. But he's been with Lane Kiffin for a while now and obviously wants to be with Lane Kiffin or he'd be in Oxford right now. Same thing with George McDonald, Joe Cox, like Kevin Smith, certainly. That offensive staff like feels like it's with Lane. And then on defense, you know that Blake Baker wants to be here until the big fish comes. You know that Corey Raymond wants to be here. You know that Kevin Peoples and blanked on the safeties coach. I can see his face. I shook his hand on Saturday.
Last name starts with an O.
Jake Olson.
There you go.
We got on the elevator. Me, Myers, and Jake Olson in Tiger Stadium on Saturday. I just couldn't think of it. Live radio. But Blake Baker's had Kevin Peoples and Jake Olson with him, and those guys have stayed. And like, I don't think Chris Kiffin's going anywhere. So like, it stands to reason there's going to be some continuity here on that staff, and they're getting into a little bit of a rhythm here in the spring. And Lane Kiffin talked about getting them into fitness like he is and spending time together in that way.
Coach Saban had like the coaching rehabilitation program. Like we'd go in there and we'd get a stamp so we'd get a job again. You know, over these years with my change in nutrition and exercise and everything, I feel like we've had a lot of people jump into that and we motivate them. I actually had a number of wives over the years thank me because they're like, hey, you're improving my husband, how he's in shape and how he thinks and probably how long he lives. So our new project is T. Martin. So we're on about week 3. And so he's doing good and buying in. So we had a series of stuff last night, like 8 o'clock, and then this morning at 6 a.m. again. So it's kind of fun, especially as coaches come together and don't know all each other. And we have some good before and after pictures, we've put up before. Some good stories in there. It's actually pretty cool. I do think on that, though, we're around our players, and, obviously that doesn't have to be done, in order to win. But I think when your players see that your mindset is that way about everything, the competitiveness, and then they're up here at night doing similar things, or they're out on the jugs, and it just kind of creates a whole culture of coaches and players all in an elite mindset about being great in all areas of their life.
That sounds kind of Will Wade-ish to me. I realize Lane Kiffin's in better shape than Will Wade, but you're just talking about everything matters all the time, taking things seriously, everybody doing things together. I'm working all day, you're working all day. Same type of deal. Jay Johnson's like that too. You got to be all about baseball all the time to be a part of the LSU baseball program. This has to be your life. Like that's the whole deal. And Lane Kiffin sounds that way too. Brian Kelly was talking about details and studied sleep and all that kind of stuff. So not completely, revolutionary with Lane Kiffin, but I think you've got at LSU right now a group of coaches that is going to work exceptionally hard. And I'm not here to suggest who hasn't or who has in the past. I'm here to talk about the coaches that are here right now. Jay Johnson is going to grind in this offseason. Guaranteed. Will Wade is grinding right now to remake an entire roster. Guaranteed. Lane Kiffin was flying all over the Southeast trying to land transfers. Kim Mulkey's all over the place. Like, you've got a group of coaches that are grinding. And in my experience at this school, in this athletic department, when you grind with the advantages that LSU has, more often than not, big-time success follows. It's just very possible here. And Jay Clark just finished second. I sense that LSU's got a lot of coaches moving in the right direction right now. That's an exciting thing. Lane Kiffin's a big part of that, obviously. So let's look at LSU football here on this Wednesday. We'll take a time out. We'll come back and do some SEC baseball power rankings next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. That's F-A-B-R-E, F-A-B-R-E, FabryChevrolet.com. They're on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Short drive. My wife and I made it a month ago for our 5th anniversary. Drove on up there, spent the weekend. Lovely. But the point being, it's a quick drive. So if you're in Baton Rouge, just north of town, Scotlandville, in Baker and Zachary, maybe over in New Roads, Ventress over in Point Capee, and of course in the Felicianas, just sip on over. Highway 61, see my friends at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. You know you're going to get incredible customer service when you deal with Fabry Chevrolet GMC because the Fabry family's been doing it that way for 35 years. They don't compromise on that, ever. So if you need a new vehicle, need a pre-owned vehicle, check out the inventory online at FabryChevrolet.com. Every car that is on the lot on Highway 61 in St. Francisville is there online at FabryChevrolet.com. It's the Fabry family. Been at it 35 years here in Baton Rouge. Go see him, Highway 61 in St. Francisville, or online at FabryChevrolet.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Renaissance Homes and Pools, built by Renaissance.com, built by Renaissance.com. No matter what pool you're looking for, could be resort style, could be just a cocktail pool in the backyard, wherever you are in your stages of life, whatever pool you've dreamt of, Joey Blanchard and his team at built by Renaissance.com and Renaissance Homes and Pools can absolutely do it for you. The beauty of working with Renaissance Homes and Pools is you're going to deal with Joey Blanchard directly. Joey is the owner of the company. He's been helping folks in Baton Rouge get into the homes and pools and outdoor kitchens of their dreams for years and years and years, and he can help you with it. Send him a text, 225-252-7745. It's in the 225 area code right here in Baton Rouge, 252-7745. Say, hey, would like a pool. He'll call you back. Start that process. Consultation with Joey. The design meeting, Joey is going to be there. If you know what you want, tell him. If you have no idea but you just want a swimming pool, he can help you. They've got templates, and they can make it happen in their incredible software that's designed some of those beautiful pools you will see. They're online at builtbyrenaissance.com. You can check them out. And again, I remind you, if you're looking to build your forever home, you're looking for options for builders, Joey is happy to get involved in that as well. Outdoor kitchen, great time to make that phone call. Call Joey. Check him out online at builtbyrenaissance.com. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. All right, we've been moving right along here for 90 minutes. We've got about 20 more to go here. For now, let's get into SEC Baseball Power Rankings.
Hunt's SEC Power Rankings. The Texas Longhorns
beat Alabama 2 out of 3. I thought Ruger Riojas was better this week. Dylan Volantis was great. I think that most people will have Georgia at the top of this list. I think Texas is better. I think Texas is more complete. I like their pitching staff a little bit better, and I think they're good enough on offense. I like Texas the best in the league. Georgia's second.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
They're good. They went to Arkansas and won 2 out of 3. Yeah, they scored 26 runs in the finale. I get it. I'm not here to disparage Georgia. I think Volchko is a nice ace. I think that their bullpen is good, certainly throws hard, and the lineup is absurd. They hit home runs all over the yard. Really good team, Georgia. I haven't moved them, but I think Texas is a little bit better. Those are my top 2.
Texas A&M!
I moved the Aggies up from 7 to 3 after seeing them in person. They've won 11 of 12 SEC games. The lineup is incredible. That is beyond reproach. And Sims is kind of the linchpin to that starting rotation. You saw him on Saturday. They need the other guys to be better. Weston Moss. They need Shane Sadeo to be a lot better. And I don't know that they're a national championship favorite. I hesitate with threat, but the lineup is legit, and that's going to carry them a long way.
The Auburn Tigers.
They're 10-8 in the league. They won their last 3 series after being swept by Alabama. They kind of find their mojo back. I like their rotation. I like the offense. It's not as good as I thought it would be, but it's good enough, and they're winning games, so I'll put Auburn at 4.
The Florida Gators.
I dropped Florida 2 spots here. They swept Arkansas, and they beat Georgia 2 out of 3, so they've got to be respected in that way, and certainly they've got as talented a 1-2 punch, top of the rotation as anybody. They're just a little bit inconsistent, and they let Auburn go down to Gainesville and beat them 2 out of 3, so moved them back a little bit, but still a very capable team and one that will come to Baton Rouge in the season finale.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Moved the Hogs back 1 spot. They played with Georgia until they couldn't stop them on Sunday. They got a game. The biggest issue with Arkansas, and one that is just surprising to me, is that Gabe Gackle's a mess. Y'all remember Gabe Gackle. That stuff is absurd. 97, great spin rate, velo up in the zone, and then he's got a nasty slider. And he's just not very good at the top of the rotation. I don't really get that, but it is what it is. Arkansas is at 6.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Rebs go to Knoxville and get 2 out of 3. It's a dangerous team because of that pitching. Cade Townsend was mowing Tennessee down in Knoxville through 5 innings of his start. I think Landon Mack is really good. Would love to have him in Baton Rouge. I think Tegan Coons is really talented. And they've got a difference maker in Appenzeller in the bullpen. The offense, well, it's a good team.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Mississippi State drops 2 spots. They may have the best arm in the SEC. LSU will see him on Friday. Look, it's a team that has a lot of talent. It's a team that has been wildly inconsistent. I can't give them a ton of credit for going to Columbia, South Carolina, and sweeping South Carolina. The 2 weekends before that where they got swept on their home field probably say more about what State is, but I'm not discounting what they could be moving forward.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
I did not like Alabama when they were cruising earlier this year, and I don't love them now. They've lost 6 of their last 8 overall. They've also lost 6 of their last 8 in conference play. I think that it's a limited team in terms of talent, especially on offense. Brady Neal's your second best hitter. Not great. So Alabama's at 9. They're a team that's probably a 2 seed in a regional.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Bump Kentucky up a spot. They played a competitive series with Vanderbilt over the weekend. I like Jackson Jelkin. That's about the best I can say about Kentucky. Plus, they're old, but I don't think they're a great team.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Move Oklahoma up a spot as well. That's because Tennessee is going to be dropping back. The Sooners have issues at a lot of places. Their offense has been better than I anticipated it to be. I think Jelkin. I think Walk is a very good player. I think that they need LJ Mercurius to be better than he's been, and I don't know now that the sample size is as big as it is that he's going to be. So Oklahoma, I've got at 11.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Vols dropped 2 spots after losing a series at home to Ole Miss. They've already dropped a series to LSU at home, dropped a series to Ole Miss at home. It's just a team that is scuffling a little bit.
The Vanderbilt Commodores.
Doors hit a lot of homers. They don't really do anything else, which is wild because last year they did everything but hit homers, and then this year they hit homers and don't do anything else. That's a weird deal, and Vanderbilt's going to be very likely out of the NCAA tournament when that time comes.
The LSU Tigers.
LSU's at 14. I still think LSU's better than South Carolina and better than Missouri without Jake Brown and Cooper Moore. I think they're better than those 2 teams. Keep in mind, LSU has won a couple of series. LSU did beat Kentucky in a series. LSU did beat Tennessee in a series. South Carolina has beaten Missouri in a series. That's it. Missouri has beaten 1 team in a series, and that was Oklahoma, I think? Kentucky. They beat Kentucky. So, not great. LSU's better than them, so I got them at 14.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
Gamecocks swept by Mississippi State, as they generally are. They're playing decent. I can say that. The next team is not.
The Missouri Tigers.
Awful. They got to make a change at head coach. Carrick Jackson has a great reputation in the sport, but this is another year where they're going to be last in the league, and you got swept by South Carolina. I don't know how you can suggest you're making progress when South Carolina was completely non-competitive for like 6 weeks, and then they went and swept you on your home field. It's a bad look. So that's it for your SC Baseball Power Rankings. Texas number 1, Georgia number 2, A&M number 3, Auburn number 4, Florida number 5. Those are the 5 teams that are going to be in contention for a top 8 national seed. Then you've got Arkansas at 6, Ole Miss at 7, Mississippi State at 8, Alabama at 9, Kentucky at 10, Oklahoma at 11, Tennessee 12, Vandy 13, LSU 14, South Carolina 15, Missouri 16. If you're curious where LSU's opponents moving forward rank in these power rankings, Georgia is number 2, Florida is number 5, Mississippi State is number 8, and the last one, South Carolina, number 15. So 2, 5, 8, and 15 remaining for LSU in my power rankings, which are not exactly scientific, just as I see it. So that's a look at your SEC power rankings after the 6th week of conference play. I've got my power rankings from the first week that I want to just briefly visit to just humor you, the audience here, because it's humorous. I had Texas 1, still do. Had LSU 2. 2. I mean, I'm going to have to go back and look at the YouTube highlights from Jacksonville and just see what that looked like. Because when I tell you, when they left the Sunshine State, none of those bags came packed to Baton Rouge. They looked awesome in Jacksonville, and it just never showed back up. I wasn't alone in this. Crazy. I did have South Carolina, Missouri at the bottom. I had Arkansas at 3, Ole Miss at 4, Auburn at 5. Those are sneaking around the chicken coop there. Mississippi State at 7, A&M at 8. They're better than that. I had Vanderbilt at 9. They're not that good. And then I had a big miss at Georgia at 11. And I remember this vividly when I did those initial power rankings. I put Georgia at 11, and I said, they might be really good. I don't know because they refuse to play anyone. Go look at Georgia's non-conference schedule this year. They just didn't play anybody. Now, I realize this is the guy sitting here whose team got taken 2 out of 3 from by Sacramento State. I got it. I'm the guy who pulls for the team that couldn't beat Bethune-Cookman. But Georgia didn't play anybody in the non-conference, so I don't think that's completely my fault that I had them at number 11. I don't think that's my fault. That's Wes Johnson's fault. Take it up with him. We'll come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. FABT.com. FABT.com. Bank local. Bank with First American Bank and Trust. 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. The beauty of working with First American Bank and Trust is that you're working with a bank that is part of your community. And the people that are making the decisions on your commercial loan, the people that are making the decisions on your personal loan are people that are inside your community that want what's best for you. You're not talking to a call center in Atlanta. You're not talking to somebody in LA or Chicago. You're getting someone in Southeast Louisiana, someone that goes to church with you. That's the beauty of working with First American Bank and Trust. And you may say, well, those banks in, Atlanta and Chicago are pretty sizable. Like, I need resources. They got 25 locations in Southeast Louisiana. They've got your resources. It's First American Bank and Trust. Check them out online at FABT.com. Stop in one today. First American Bank and Trust.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
We're wrapping up this Wednesday show brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. We're doing something really cool tomorrow. All of our stations will be involved. All of our shows on 104.5 ESPN will be from the parade ground on LSU's campus. What we're doing is there's a young girl in our community who is in need of a bone marrow transplant. And what they are doing is getting swabs from the public to determine if they can find a match, and they have not been successful with that yet. So we will be out on the parade ground at LSU tomorrow, set up as part of a quote-unquote swab event where you can come by, get swabbed, and potentially see if you are a match and could help this young girl in our community. They're looking for people 18 to 35. We'll get all the details tomorrow, and we'll be telling you that from the morning show all the way through AFR tomorrow, and we'll be out there. But if you're in Baton Rouge and have it in your heart to come by and see if you could be a match, we will be there. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what kind of difference we can make as a station. I'm proud to do that tomorrow. So looking very much forward to it. Of course, it'll be a very, very busy show in terms of the content as well. Got the NFL draft tomorrow. We'll be talking about it. We'll talk a little bit of LSU, Mississippi State with Chris Blair. Hoping to get Luke Johnson back on the show tomorrow. He's had the new kiddo. Been off for a couple months, and maybe we can get Luke back in the fold tomorrow, talking a little bit of Saints. So looking forward to tomorrow's show for multiple reasons, content, as well as the cause that we're helping. So if you are in Baton Rouge tomorrow, we'd love to see you out of the parade ground on LSU's campus, just across from the Student Union on Thursday for our shows. All right, take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, so Cubs manager Craig Counsell complained about the Ohtani rule that allows the Dodgers to carry 13 pitchers as well as Ohtani. So the Dodgers manager Dave Roberts replied with, tell him to get his own player like Ohtani. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to go ahead and leave that one,
Leave it
Dave.
alone.
Whoa.
Dave.
Whoa.
Look,
First
here's
name
the
basis?
deal. Here's the deal. I support fully the Dodgers' ability to spend $1 bajillion on players.
Yes.
That's the rules. Go do it. awesome.
Pay him in 2040.
And you may say, well, you're being hypocritical if you don't like this rule. And I think that the reason is because this rule prohibits the other teams in the league. The Cubs aren't allowed to carry 14 pitchers. The Dodgers you're only allowed to carry 13. The Dodgers carry 13 and they don't count Ohtani. He's in their rotation.
Yeah.
Like, you have to count him as a pitcher. It's like the scholarship deal with football. Bear Bryant used to have all of his players on track scholarships and swimming scholarships, and they were all football players.
Slimy.
So now they said, well, if you play football and you're on scholarship, you have to take a football scholarship. You go run track, but you're on football scholarship. Ohtani, you can play outfield. You got to count as a pitcher. This is BS that everybody else is limited to 13 pitchers, and the Dodgers get 14 because they got the unicorn.
Yeah.
Just say you can carry as many pitchers as you want. I don't have a problem with the Dodgers having Ohtani, but, like, let me carry another pitcher if I want to. They have roster limits in place for a reason, and the Dodgers are circumventing them because they've got the greatest player who ever lived. That's like saying, well, go get your own LeBron.
Yeah.
Go get your own Wembanyama, all right?
We're trying.
Well, there are none of those.
Yeah.
Crazy talk.
Now, when you break it down like that, that's definitely cheating. Like, come on now. Especially because this dude is in the rotation. Like, I think it's
it's not like he pitches like 1 inning a week if you're in a
I think
pinch.
he's the number 2 guy.
He starts once a week.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's like behind Yamamoto.
Ridiculous.
So the Pitt season 2, take it or leave it.
Take it. Pitt is
I'll
awesome.
take it.
HBO Max.
My girl
if you have
loves
not
it.
watch it. The Pitt is an emergency room show. My wife and I both thoroughly enjoyed it. She's in healthcare. I am not. Apparently, it is as lifelike as any emergency room drama has ever been. Not like ER and Scrubs and all that kind of stuff. This is like legit like cases and stuff like
Grey's
that.
Anatomy.
We loved it. We thought it was great, and we've seen both seasons. It's very good. I would highly recommend.
My girl loves it, so I mean, I might have to tap in
It's good.
if you guys like it that much. So
The acting on it would be
Phenomenal.
real hard because you have to learn all the medical terms, and they talk so fast because the patient comes in, it's like, all right, gotta go. Like, this patient's dying. So they're ripping off these complex medical terms and surgeries.
He's
like,
like, what?
nothing. Like, memorize. This is no Seinfeld memorizing lines. Like, this is getting it done.
all right, so Paradise season 2, take it or leave it.
Leaving this one.
Okay.
We watched this one. This is sci-fi. It's
you don't like
it's
that.
apocalyptic in nature. I didn't know that at the time when we started it.
Okay.
The premise is there's a huge weather event that's going to like wipe
the
out
world
most of
out?
humanity, and they
Yep.
build this huge bunker to go form a society in.
Okay.
But it gets weird, and there's a season 3 coming up that I know my wife's going to make me watch, and I don't want to because I know what's coming. I'm not going to spoil it, but based on the season 2 finale, I know what's coming, and I have no interest in this. It's too sci-fi. I don't like it. I'm out.
All right, so the New York Jets canceled their top 30 visit with Texas Tech pass rusher David Bailey. But he explained he still had positive interactions with them. He said, man, it's been good. He told reporters on Wednesday those interactions with the Jets, even though they canceled my top 30 meeting, he still had he met with the coaches, FaceTime and whatnot. So is this an indication that Arvell Reese is a lock at number 2? Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it.
Leave it alone.
I think this can be smoke and mirrors. So you're using the term lock.
Yeah.
I would suggest a likelihood,
Okay.
but I would not say lock. I think that anything you do in the draft can be taken with a grain of salt, and there's a very good possibility they canceled the visit because they already know about David Bailey. If they want to take him, they can. If they think somebody now will try to trade up with him for Arvell Reese,
That'd be crazy.
thinking that you are locked in with him, all of a sudden you flip the scales in your favor. So I'm not buying it.
All right, so the Dallas Cowboys will now hold contract talks with George Pickens. As you know, they franchise tagged him
Yep.
$27.3 million in March. And the last time the Cowboys franchise tagged a wide receiver was Dez Bryant in 2015. So is there a team with more disgruntled contract talks than the Dallas Cowboys? Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. That's got to be
Leave it alone.
top. I mean, I can't think of anybody else that's been that consistently embroiled in the contract
Michael Parsons last year.
Dak,
Dak,
Dez Bryant,
Dez Bryant,
Pickens,
like the
yeah.
Pickens, CeeDee Lamb for a little bit before they paid
Yeah,
CeeDee
I mean,
Lamb.
everybody has their back and forths, but these are a little bit more public thanks to the owner / general
Jerry.
manager who's going to make that happen. So, it is what it is. All right, I guess that's it for
That's
take it
it.
or leave it.
That's it for take it or leave it.
Busy show. Gave you my pick for who I believe the Saints will take with the 8th pick in the draft. If you missed it, you can go find it on demand, search Hunt Palmer Show, or check it out, Hunt on Saints. It's right there. All of our Saints draft content is there. So if you're looking to binge tonight on Saints draft content, you can do that at Hunt on Saints. Talked a lot of LSU as well. Lane Kiffin talking about his relationship with Baton Rouge that's getting more and more stable, and more and more comfortable for him. That's at Hunt on LSU as well. Talked a little LSU baseball. Koki Riley stopped by to talk LSU baseball. Did some What If Wednesday and some SEC baseball power rankings. Search Hunt Palmer Show wherever you find your sound. Appreciate it. And you can get that wherever you find your podcasts. Busy show tomorrow as well. As we mentioned, we'll have NFL draft talk wall to wall. We'll talk some LSU baseball as well. Chris Blair will be with us. Hopefully LSU basketball. Nav's commitment. If you want to read about LSU's newest commitment, you can do that at LouisianaSports.net. Matt's about to drive you home next on After Further Review. Have a great Wednesday. We're back tomorrow. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com, FabryChevrolet.com. Summer is coming, y'all. Summer is almost here, and that means road trips. Means road trips to the beach, road trips to the grandparents' house, road trips wherever you will call your summer vacation. And that may mean you need a new set of wheels, because if you need to get the kiddos loaded up, it might be in a new Chevy Tahoe, it might be in a new Chevy Suburban. Maybe you're looking at the GMC side at Yukon, Denali. If that's the case, Fabry Chevrolet GMC has got them on the lot. You can start your buying process like we do most things now online at FabryChevrolet.com, see what they got, see what interests you, and then make that quick drive up to St. Francisville on Highway 61 and lock in that purchase. It's going to be a great buying experience, because that's what you've been getting from Fabry for 35 years here in Baton Rouge. Fabry Chevrolet GMC. Every car that is on the lot is online at FabryChevrolet.com. Go see them, Highway 61 in St. Francisville, or online at FabryChevrolet.com.